I remember as a kid, my dad always said, if you don't have time to do it the right way, you don't have time to do it again. And so I think we've tried to do that with Fireboard, right? We've tried to build something the right way and really build it the right way the first time and not come back and have to redo it.
I mean, truly, you should just always do your best, right? And really don't give up. Every day there's issues that you got to solve, right? And I mean, if you just slough it off and give it up, right, then that's no good. But you can always solve these problems if you just, try.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love taking things apart. A lot of the little electronics, or you'd find like an RC truck, and I would take it apart. I would get the motor and, connect the motor to something else, or I would take apart the little lights inside of there and connect those lights, or I would wire up an alarm system for my room or something like that. So I was always fascinated by the electronics as a hobby. My dad was in a ham radio, so we had a lot of electronics down the basement. So I was able to go down there. It was kind of almost a kid's playground where you could solder this together. Here's some hookup wire, here's a voltmeter, and kind of start to learn that.
Well, I'd say I was lucky enough to grow up on a farm. Gosh, I think I was in 4th grade when my dad put me on the combine. I was cutting wheat. We grew up on those machines, Dad and Mom had us out there all the time. And, my parents, they ran the business, and I really appreciated that aspect, right? You can control the schedule. Of course, on a farm, the only schedule is work, right? So I think after that experience, gosh, I owe it to myself to go out there and try to start a business, try to do something on my own. The first computer that I ever had, it was like early 90s. It was an Intel 386. My life totally changed from that moment.
So we started Fireboard about 7 years ago in 2015. And even in 2015, I guess I should say, 14 years prior to that, I was doing investment work. But the investment work I was doing was, to a large extent, a lot of work in technology. So a lot of the technology that we see and that we have at Fireboard today was actually technology that I had worked with for years prior to that. One of my neighbors actually was an investment guy as well, and he introduced me to smoking and the low and slow cooking. And so I actually bought a smoker through him and started learning about what was this smoking, what was this barbecue. And immediately I started thinking about technology. If I'm gonna cook a brisket for 12 hours, why can I not just pick up my phone and see what's going on? And I started trying to look for that product. And what I found was a lot of clunky, difficult to use systems that really weren't viable for a consumer product really going out to the market.
So in college, I realized right away, the ag industry had tons of potential for software work. So started writing code in Visual Basic. Then another friend of mine, we started a kind of a software development company doing this kind of on our own. Building websites, building apps, building all sorts of web applications. We did that for about 12 years. Learning the ropes, right? And that's the only way to do it. My background isn't computer science, right? Computer engineering, but you kind of just learn how to do that, a lot of late nights.
So Steven and I met at K-State in Manhattan, Kansas. We call it the Little Apple.
Earliest memory I have of meeting Ted was, I think he was running for student council at K-State. So, walking around campus, we'd see, the sidewalk chalk, and I'd see Ted Conrad everywhere. And I kind of knew who he was. He lived in the same dorm. But I thought, gosh, this guy's like everywhere, right?
Steven has always been interested in technology, just like I was. And we also enjoyed, a lot of, I would say, kind of hobby interests, whether it's biking, and I think we built model airplanes and stuff like that, which was kind of fun.
Ted and I kept in touch. I kind of went off and did my own software development thing for about, 10 or 12 years.
But we stayed in touch throughout the years, and family, friends, and kind of we all started having kids and kind of kept up that way. And really, when I decided to start Fireboard, I went out to Steve and I said, hey, would this make sense to you? Are you interested in being part of this?
And when Ted moved back to Kansas City, I think we talked, and he'd always wanted to do some sort of work together, some sort of software work. Yeah, we met up, had dinner one night, he told me the idea.
And he thought it was great, so he was up for a challenge, up for an adventure, and a little crazy adventure, I guess. But It was a good fit. He was very passionate about, I think, building some fun technology, right? And he had great experience on the web side, and he was able to really pick up and jump into the mobile app side. So it's been great with Steven. And we literally had a big, huge whiteboard, and we modeled out, the database schema, right? We modeled out the logical parts about how the system is connected together.
We need to have some sort of a back end to handle all this data. We obviously need something on the front end, like an app or a web view, and then of course you need the device that does all this work.
And it started to become clear, okay, here is the right way to build this product. Instead of taking a shortcut and just saying, well, let's get this done in like 3 months, and have to redo it later, I think we spent the time on the front end to really get things designed the right way.
Ted went down the route of figuring out the device, what the Fireboard was going to do, how it was going to operate. If I was focused on, okay, I need an API that users can get data out of. So as Ted's device is sending all of this temperature data up to the cloud, I'm writing the apps and the web front end and some of the client side stuff to let them show that data, to see your charts and see your temperatures in real time.
We knew it was going to be a complicated business to start, and I think we probably even underestimated how complicated it really was. So there were many, many nights, late nights, weekends, and over and over and over for really, really steady for those 2 years to really get the product really at that point where we could say, yes, it's ready to get out there.
Doing something yourself and building it yourself is important to me. It's not easy, right? I mean, you kind of have to be willing to take risks. I guess you kind of learn some things the hard way, right? But I think it's important for everybody to kind of take those risks and try something new, regardless if you have like actual training in that subject matter, right? I mean, you can learn anything if you just try.